Oh, read the chat. Beautiful. Let's do the quick version of that. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere that might be landed, visited by an alien craft in just a matter of under 2 months. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Monday, October 13th, 2025. And this right here is the T-Dam Daily Show on the new American media, because the old American media has failed you. Thank you all for being here. Here, let's put chat on the screen. If I just had chat up on the screen, I probably would have noticed that earlier. Hello, John. Hello, Marion. Thank you for being here. What's up, Kenneth? There we go. All right, there it is. Hi there. All right. Audio is back. Thank you for being here. We're going to discuss all living Israeli hostages have been freed. This is a big accomplishment for President Trump. Now, of course, we got to maintain a ceasefire. We may have to maintain whatever's occurring. It's still tenuous. It's only phase one, but okay. It feels like maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel, and we might be able to stop the stupidity over there. It does something to the human psyche to just have to put up with butchery. And if we were able to return a bunch of innocent people that have been treated as animals, caged animals, for 2 years. I'm sorry. I mean, why wasn't this a daily? There was a ticker. And we have to double check who's been released. Actually, before we get into the intro of the show, let me just double check. Nationalities of the released hostages. Because I actually don't know if there were any Americans in this group. All Israeli, Russian, an immigrant from Ukraine, Israeli Argentinian. Eden Alexander is a Nova Music Festival location. Abducted Israeli American. Okay. So this Eden Alexander, who was taken 20 years old, who was taken from the Nova Music Festival, Israeli American. That's an American that's been held behind enemy lines during a war for 2 years now. We hardly even mentioned it. I mean, yes, the greater issue of the conflict and watching the left do what the left does. Protesting and genocide and Israel, Hamas, Judaism and Islam, and okay, we're back at this again. But that was a Israeli American. Got wrapped up in that, but it wasn't everyday round the clock coverage for some reason. So if we can move past that and begin the efforts to see a light at the end of the tunnel, what does that look like? It kind of depends. You know, it was often rumored that the Halliburtonization, I'm making up words now, in the Middle East, coming in with Cheney, and after Bush was done blowing things up, well, someone's got to rebuild it. And how are you going to get those big, meaty, juicy contracts? Building roads, infrastructure, buildings. There's a lot of money in that. And as Scott Adams pointed out, if Hillary Clinton's even coming out, you know, kind of making it sound like, you know, she's happy this war is over, maybe she found a way to make money at it. You know, you got to dip your beak a little bit, get a little bit of cash. So it's an interesting time. I guess all eyes now turn on to Ukraine. Once again, with the clear caveat that this is only phase one in Israel, in Palestine, and the Gaza Strip, whatever it's going to be, the Mediterranean. What did they call it? The Monaco of the Mediterranean, or I don't know, something like that. You know, is this going to turn into Atlantic City? Going to rebuild it into like a actual thriving metropolitan area? Wasn't that the concern with Maui and the concern in Los Angeles that, well, Or even in North Carolina with Hurricane Helene, it's like, well, if you could organize coordinated fires, and it looked like a lot of these fires kind of happened at roughly the same exact time, almost as if it was deliberately done and coordinated and planned. Or if you could manipulate weather, which we've all known forever that you can do. It's just been the liars who want to make it seem like, oh, that's not happening. That's such a wacky theory you have. It's wacky to repeat what we know to be true, that weather is being manipulated. It's manipulatable, and it's been worked on for how many decades do you want to stack together? If you're stacking decades like pancakes, how big of a stack of pancakes would you get? Every pancake is a decade. How long has the government been doing weather modification? I mean, when there were nomadic tribes of indigenous or Indian or native or whatever word term you want to use, what was the rain dance about? What is prayer about? What is intention about? What's it all about? Well, they've been doing weather manipulation for a while. So the concern has been, if you can erase giant swaths of land to then redevelop, what's to stop this from happening all the damn time? And we've seen it a couple of times in the past couple of years now, where you go, Maui, Pacific Palisades, Gaza. All right, yeah, well, I mean, obviously after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, like, there needs to be a rebuilding effort, and you've seen the pictures side by side. They are very modern cities. If you don't have the if you aren't limited by the existing infrastructure, there's really no limit to what you can do, which in a way is why it's so exciting to consider life on other planets or the moon and whatnot. Just kind of like vast empty swath. It's an empty canvas. Although if you believe that they're empty, I mean, that's another level of conversation we can have about that. I don't think they're remotely empty, nor have they ever been, or have been in a long time. Who knows? But releasing those living prisoners. I'm also curious, have they received the remains of everybody that did not make it? Is there anything still held back, or is this like everybody living and deceased has been returned? So look, this is a big day. Kudos. Things felt like, the mice will play when the cat is away. That there really wasn't strong global leadership on this raging war. But looks like we got a little bit of good news. So let's celebrate that. There's a lot of doom and gloom out there. So let's take the small wins. This feels like something. We got 1,000 questions. And we got 100 stories that we want to get to. So let's not delay our show intro any further. Buckle up, hit like, hit subscribe, comment, hit the hearts button or the confetti button or the 100 button if you're watching it on the app on YouTube, because I think the algorithm likes it. Copy the show link and send it out on X. Tell people that you're watching the show. Text it to a couple of your friends. Invite them in. And let's begin today's program.
your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.
Thank you all for being here. Happy to have you. All right. Let's see what people are talking about today. Did you have a great weekend? Question of the day in the comments. What was the highlight of the weekend? I did a live stream yesterday of the Cleveland Browns' pathetic effort against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I digress. Yes, what was the highlight of your weekend, folks? All right, let's dig through some of the news together. ABC abruptly cuts President J.D. Vance's interview after he exposes some truth.
Don't know what tape you're referring to, George. I saw media reports that Tom Homan accepted a bribe. There's no evidence of that. And here's, George, why fewer and fewer people watch your program and why you're losing credibility. Because you're talking for now 5 minutes with the Vice President of the United States about this story regarding Tom Homan, a story that I've read about, but I don't even know the video that you're talking about. Meanwhile, low-income women can't get food because the Democrats and Chuck Schumer have shut down the government. Right now, we're trying to figure out how to pay our troops because Chuck Schumer has shut down the government. You are focused on a bogus story. You're insinuating criminal wrongdoing against a guy who has done nothing wrong instead of focusing on the fact that our country is struggling because our government's shut down. Let's talk about the real issues, George. I think the American people would benefit much more from that than from you going down some weird left-wing rabbit hole where the facts clearly show that Tom Homan didn't engage in any criminal wrongdoing.
It's not a weird left-wing rabbit hole. I didn't insinuate anything. I asked you whether Tom Homan accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI in September 2024, and you did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning.
No, George, I said that I don't.
Up next, we'll be right back.
I don't know what tape you're referring to.
And they cut him right off. Yeah. I'll type good old George Snuffleupagus, the Clinton deep state mouthpiece, strikes again. George Snuffleupagus. I like calling him George Snuffleupagus. Yeah, there's a couple of stories that the left media has been trying to fixate on. And now it's like, stop the genocide, stop the genocide. It's like, well, I didn't want you to do it. I actually didn't want you to actually do it. I just want to keep yelling about it forever. Okay, well, take that off the table now. You know, phase one, we'll see if it happens, if they can stop the war in Gaza. But, you know, positive signs so far. The most positive signs we've witnessed in 2 years. Now let's you know, continue following through. But yeah, they're trying to bring up some Tom Homan story that, you know, there's no there. So not taking the bait. We're going to stay focused on getting the government open back up. All right. Steve Bannon. Kind of calling it out. You're either America first or you're not. This is not a complicated conversation anymore.
Have the will at the top. You got all these guys on Wall Street, all these oligarchs in Silicon Valley, and they're working for the enemy. They're not working for you. They're not working for this country. They're always putting the enemy's interest first. Why? Because they make more money with the enemy. They're traitors. This place is infested with traitors. People that put other nations first, that put Israel first, that put China first. If you're a citizen of the United States, full stop, and you're putting the interests of another country first, you are a traitor to this country. End of discussion. This country's purpose, this country's development, this country's growth and prosperity and peace come first, and the American citizens come first. You put any other citizen first, you put any other country first, then get the hell out of here. Yes. It's time now to have these discussions. We played around and happy talked for years and years and years. Oh, with the Chinese, you know, the students, and they're going to be productive. Get them out of here. The American kids are just as smart. Yep. The HB1 visa, another scam. It's not even, you can't even take it seriously. Another scam. What? To give the oligarchs higher margins. The math is quite simple. This.
These H-1B visas, anything to replace the American workers, dumping tens of thousands of Haitians into Springfield, Ohio. Stop it. We have Americans here. We can train Americans to work American jobs. That's it. No, we can figure this out. We're not going to fundamentally transform what we are as a nation. You know, they used to say having third world countries with their sweatshops out there, we're outsourcing our slavery. Well, if you're doing all this human smuggling now, how many hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people have been human smuggled in here into God knows what conditions? Modern day slaves. Now we're like insourcing our slavery again. We used to outsource it. Now we're bringing it back. This is madness. There's got to be a better way. And Bannon's right to call it out. And all these tech visas, you know, there's Americans that can be working these tech jobs. Thank you very much. They want to do their thing, let them do it. Don't undercut, you know, this is not okay. The health of the country depends on the health of us individually. When you take these opportunities away from our people of this country as being the number one priority, then you're selling us out. That's not a public servant. That is a traitor.
This ain't quantum mechanics. This is quite simple. In the greed and avarice of Wall Street and the financial community, the greed and avarice of places like Sequoia Capital, which is an agent of it. The entity itself is an agent of influence of the Chinese Communist Party, and it has been for a long time. And you got everybody up there sucking on the tit. You got this Mike Moritz, who's one of the biggest donors to the redistricting fight in California. It's all inextricably linked. But the common theme, it's against this nation. And it's against the citizens of this nation, the citizens. And we have to stop and call it out. We have to have...
It's a recalibration. We were so far off track. Hello, David Penn. Glad to see we are back to being an international show. Good to have you here. No, I said George Snuffleupagus, not George Snorting Up, I'd guess. Pretty good, though. They all shop at Trader Joe's. That's what they call him, Trader Joe. Marion's highlight of the weekend went to a pumpkin patch with family and friends. That's a double alliteration. Double P, double F. Pumpkin patch, family, friends. Bravo. Kenneth's weekend was weak. Ah. Well, you're probably not the only one. Hello, Patriot Warrior. Still looking for remains. You're saying that there are still hostages that are missing and presumed to be gone, or remains that need to be recovered, or I think that's what you're referencing there. Marion saying that is a bunch of pancakes. Yeah, I did a show with Blake where we had Wilford Brimley. We created an AI image of Wilford Brimley stacking pancakes to the moon. It's pretty wild. One of my favorite images. Oh, it's Canadian Thanksgiving? Tell me about Canadian Thanksgiving, David. What do we do in Canadian Thanksgiving? Is it like Boxing Day? Isn't that a thing? Interesting. How do you celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving? How is it different? Have you celebrated many or any American Thanksgivings? What's that, a boot? A boat. It's either a boot that you wear or a boat that you sail in. I like saying a boat. A boot. They're both funny. They're both pretty great. It's like the movie Fargo, eh? Okay, keeping going through the news. Libs of TikTok says 2 illegal aliens with ties to Tren de Aragua have been arrested after Project Veritas exposed them for plotting to blow up a synagogue and for trafficking minors. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, then. More of Pelosi's angels captured. Heroes of the Democrat Party. Good grief. These are the text messages. All right, well. I always love a good story where you're arresting bad people. Entrepreneurs says Telegram founder Pavel Durov turns 41 and warns that we are running out of time. Is there video or is this all written? I'll read it. He says, I'm turning 41, but I don't feel like celebrating. Our generation is running out of time to save the free internet built for us by our fathers. What was once the promise of the free exchange of information is being turned into the ultimate tool of control. Once free countries are introducing dystopian measures such as digital IDs like the UK, online age checks like Australia, and mass scanning of private messages, the European Union. Germany is persecuting anyone who dares to criticize officials on the internet. The UK is imprisoning thousands for their tweets. France is criminally investigating tech leaders who defend freedom and privacy. A dark dystopian world is approaching fast while we're asleep. Our generation risks going down in history as the last one that had freedoms and allowed them to be taken away. We've been fed a lie. We've been made to believe that the greatest fight of our generation is to destroy everything our forefathers left us: tradition, privacy, sovereignty, the free market, and free speech. By betraying the legacy of our ancestors, we've set ourselves on a path towards self-destruction, moral, intellectual, economic, and ultimately biological. So no, I'm not going to celebrate today. I'm running out of time. We are running out of time. Damn. Pavel Durov, the Telegram founder. Okay. I agree also.
Is there
Benny Johnson shows us this video of Trump granddaughter Kai Trump asking a pretty good question. This is a good interview question here. I like this.
a dream that you're still trying to chase?
Do you have a dream that you're still trying to chase?
Or have you reached all your dreams?
You were asking questions like you're a television com. I thought I was just going to come out and play around the golf with you, and that's,
I want
you're asking questions like I'm on television. Yeah, no, look, you become president. That's a dream, right?
Yeah.
Can't.
But yeah, you do reach a point where you do want to just interview people and get as much on record as you can. Have the conversations to have as many, you don't know how long you're going to have to talk to people about stuff. I gave a gift of one of these books that asks these questions to get, basically do an interview. Need to finish that project. Because, one day you might not be able to ask that person those questions. And then you would lose access to ever getting an answer to that stuff. So, and just the time spent together is important. So, you have that too.
I don't think
Now, well, you can know you dream. Now you want to be a great president.
Yeah.
Now you're president. Now your dream is to be a great president.
There's always a next step. Someone once told me everybody has a boss. And the more you unpack that question, the more you realize everybody has a boss. The more you think about it, the more interesting it gets. financial, power, spiritual. There's different bosses, different ways to. You're like, well, not when you get to their level. No, you still have a boss. Everybody at whatever level has a boss, and no matter what level you attain, there's always the next thing. There's always the next thing. So step one, okay, wouldn't it be cool to become president? All right, great. Now what? You've done everything. No, now I have a. She said, sir, what would you like to do now that you've become president of not just the golf course, the entire country? She said, sir. I know I haven't been doing my impressions as much. She said, sir. And I probably borrow that from Tyler Fisher doing his Trump, probably. Okay, David. Let's see. It's Canadian Thanksgiving. It's basically just another holiday, nothing like America Thanksgiving. Today is Columbus Day. Happy Columbus Day. May you all visit the great city of Columbus today. By the way, if anyone would like a mug, let me know. Mailed one out today to Kenneth. I'm juggling lots of names at the moment. So yeah, it's Columbus Day and Canadian Thanksgiving Day. What about that? Telegram founder, found with a gram. That's good, clever writing. That would be a Simpsons joke. That would be a Simpson-y. That's a very Simpsons joke. Very highbrow. Yeah, but you gotta build the premise. How do you drop that as a statement? Where do you work that in? That could be like a newspaper headline. That would be that's like a they had on The Simpsons the headline, "Deadbeat Dad Beat Dead." Deadbeat Dad Beat Dead. Telegram founder found with a gram. So it's like in the writing room, when you're just throwing all that stuff at the wall, you file that away as, here's a evergreen joke we could just throw in somewhere because it's just kind of funny. Either on a newspaper, it could be scrolling across a TV screen. It's just funny to read. Yeah. David says, I know, unfortunately, in Canada right now, they're supposedly trying to pass some laws that could make us a police state by Christmas time. Hey, man, figure it out. You rise up, fight, defend your freedoms, defend your liberties while you got them. This is it. This is why I've gone all in on this. This is it. This is it. How can you prioritize the completely trivial and irrelevant when this is happening? Speaking of which, let me put it up at the bottom of the screen. I did mention the mugs. Mailed one of these out to Kenneth. If any of you would like one, let me know, or just shoot a donation of $40. That'll cover the roughly 10 it'll take to ship it out there. You too can have a mug for the new American media. How cool is that? Thank you to John for creating these for the regulars who show up in our bar. The regular crowd shuffles in. We just talk about all the stuff going on the TV screens behind us. I did mail out some other merch. I mailed out one of these exact things. Oh, come to think about it, I probably should have put the pin inside of here. I didn't do it that way. It was a missed opportunity. Anyway, I did mail this out to somebody yesterday. 4 wooden coasters. They're $30 if you want one. Includes about $5 shipping. And then a pin. The Unhappy Hour Sports Show. Can you see it? I need to get a graphic together. But it's a pin. Yeah, the green screen wreaks havoc when you try to show little things like this. It'll glare. Anyway, if anyone wants one, let me know. They're both Ohio-shaped and circular shaped. But yeah, we've also enabled super chats. So thank you to anyone who tosses something into our tip jar in our super chats area. Let me do a review here, because as of the last time I checked, we were 451 public watching hours away from unlocking our advertisements back on our channel. It's been a hot minute since we've been earning advertising revenue on our channel. We would like to have that back. So let's do a drum roll, please. It used to be 451 hours watched. Let's see where we are right now. Do a refresh. All right. 438. We need 438 pennies in the wishing well. Each penny is 1 hour of content watched. We have 1,900 videos over the last 14 and a half years on the New American Media's YouTube channel. So if anybody would be so kind, please let me know. Please let me know if you're going to be able to pull up a device and watch some hours of content to help us boost these numbers and activate the advertising revenue, because then hopefully it can start lifting some of the blocks that our account has suffered from. We've definitely been shadow banned, demonetized, deranked, deboosted, memory hold, old videos just deleted entirely. But if we start unlocking these features, maybe some of those restrictions will change in the algorithm and they can start recommending the videos again. You know, and it'd be great to start making thousands of dollars on advertising revenue again. I mean, we used to put videos out that would easily get 50,000 views. You know, it's a different day and age, but we're doing it. We're doing it on Rumble. You can subscribe on Rumble as well. Thank you. I think John subscribed on Rumble. That's a monthly thing, like you can do on Patreon. That's the other one, patreon.com/thenewamericanmedia. But yeah, Venmo, Cash App, that's the other tip jar. Speaking of tip jar, what is this? Something came in the mail. This was from John Boy, Silvertown. Okay, what's this? Take a look at this. This is the New American Media. Look at that. I feel like I'm at Things Remembered. The New American Media. And then on the back, 1 ounce of 0.999 silver. Trash pandas. Look at that. How cool is that? That's rad. So it comes from this place. What's it called? Silvertown. Do they engrave it, or did you get a blank that was then engraved? Do you have an engraving? Did you engrave it, or did you order it to be engraved? I'm curious as to the process. Thank you. This is super rad. Yeah, feel free next time, make one out of gold and one out of platinum and one out of plutonium. No, maybe not plutonium. Unobtainium. How about some unobtainium? No, that's super cool. I was just having a conversation with a guy about silver being at all-time highs, I believe. Something like that. All right. What? No, it's Columbus Day, not Columbo Day. I could do my Cash Patel and, you know, kind of work it into my Columbo a little bit. I'm trying to remember what Columbo talks like. Definitely got to do that cross-eyed thing. Maybe get a cigar. Would you say the mug helps hide my face? David up in Ontario says one problem here is that people know and saw what they did to the truckers and the people that were involved with the truckers. Well, yeah. Breaking 1 minute ago, Trump signs Israel-Hamas peace plan in Egypt alongside world leaders. So that's going to be the biggest story going on. I mean, this is what we voted for, right? This is what we voted for. Yeah, I know they saw with the truckers, but that's why, this is it. Like, this is the last chance we get, last exit. Kenneth says, buy silver, folks, before it's too late. Buy silver, buy silver, buy silver. Severely undervalued. Always has been. Gold is at, and all, aren't they at 4,000 an ounce? Good grief, people. Good grief. Okay, so it's a blank silver, and you just tell them what to write on there, and they'll engrave it and mail it out to you engraved. That's kind of neat. So they just do one-offs. It's a pretty good concept, pretty good business model. I like it. That's awesome. Much appreciated. That's super neat, super cool. Silvertown. All right, Silvertown. All right, let's continue going on here. Yes, the whole point of that was wherever we're at, we need to have something we're aiming at. And President Trump's like, hey, I've done it all. Nope. Now I need to be a good president. That's something to do.
I think you're doing a pretty good job. Is there a dream that you're still trying to chase? Or
I think you're doing a good job. He's just a grandpa. Yeah, more of this, please. I like that. Saturday Night Live did a skit pretending to be Kristi Noem. This is what's her face, the actor. What's her name? The comedian. I'm gonna try to find it, but anyway, here's the skit.
Government agents are working without pay. Luckily, my boys at ICE don't mind.
Tina Fey.
They're in it for the love of the game. And how did I find them? By running ads like this.
Lord have mercy.
Gotta mute it.
I can't help but
Gotta mute it. But yeah, that's a great ad. Makes you want to defend your country.
Government agents are working without pay. Luckily, my boys at ICE don't mind. They're in it for the...
Yeah. Great advertisement, really. Defend the homeland. Okay. Curious to see if that character arc keeps coming back. Tina Fey. All right. Speaking of, Saturday Night Live in New York, this is a New York City machete attack suspect, had 45 prior arrests and was just charged with a hit and run that left a cancer survivor dead. Bronx man, 45 prior arrests, charged in a fatal hit and run that killed a Queens cancer survivor. Yeah, and those aren't 45 crimes. Those are 45 times he got caught. When will the judges be held accountable? Terrible, 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 terrible. Get your cities in order. Benny Johnson sharing more. This isn't just the end of the war. But, here we go. It's a start. President Trump speaking about the end of the, what are we calling it? The Hamas war? I don't know what you call it.
This is not only the end of a war. This is the end of the age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. It's the start of a grand concord and lasting harmony for Israel and all the nations of what will soon be a truly magnificent region. I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East. This is not...
I mean, he's definitely got the vision. They've discussed, all right, we're going to knock it all down. And then when we rebuild it, here's the plan. Everybody's going to go one way or another. We're just knocking it all down. We're going to rebuild it in a way that we can... I mean, we're watching it in real time, but that is the literal negotiation of how these things happen. You can call it ghoulish, but it would be foolish to think that these things just accidentally happen without central planning. They definitely are planned. And that's why you're seeing the land grab. For some reason, California is allowing non-Americans to buy up that invaluable It's priceless land on the Pacific Palisades coast just north of Los Angeles. They're not making any more of it. You don't sell that to foreigners. You keep that for your country. And then putting dense housing over there. I get that maybe a little bit of something could make sense. Because not everybody wants to, obviously, not everybody has the ability to buy a $15 million property. But maybe you could get $1 million condo on the beach, and you could, it's dense. But is it going to be Section 8? Like, what are we actually planning? The Agenda 2030? Agenda 2020? And to what ends? It's just capitalizing on an opportunity, or it was always about this from the beginning? You had to burn everything down to just take over and build it the way you've always wanted, but those pesky people were in your way. As if you get to control how everybody else does everything. And those things are calculated. That happens on a national scale. A lot of developers and politicians. I mean, these are smoky room meetings because big decisions require planning and funding and willpower and force and urgency and coordination. But it's 3 now. Israel, Hamas, Maui, Hawaii, and the Pacific Palisades. But hopefully it is a historic dawn of a new Middle East, and you're going to build it different. Here we go. Hamas has released all hostages after 735 days. Thank you, President Trump, says the right-winged angel.
Breaking news out of the Middle East, where hopes and prayers are finally being answered. We just got word Hamas has begun releasing the remaining 48 Israeli hostages more than 2 years after they were taken. Of those, about 20 are still believed to be alive. You're looking at live pictures of Hostage Square there on the right. That's in Tel Aviv, where you can see thousands of people have gathered to celebrate the long-awaited news. On the left of your screen is the area around Raim, Israel. That's where the hostages are expected to be first arriving via helicopter. And that ship on the ground is perhaps going to be used in taking them to hospitals. We do not know.
I love when they have time to kill and they just have to make things up. But maybe. But yeah, okay, it's an evac vehicle.
They'll be reunited with their families and then taken to hospitals for evaluation. And a total of 251 people were taken by the Iran-backed militant group Hamas during a horrific and deadly attack in Israel on October 7th of 2023, more than 2 years ago. That, of course, is what sparked this horrible war. And a total of 251 people were taken by the Iran-backed.
All right. Well, look, that's progress, people. I feel like this is progress. Phase 1.
What I think
This is Batya Unger Sargon. Phase 1 here. Here's her interpretation of how this is playing out.
really accomplished is I think Trump approaches deal making and the Middle East not the way the kind of liberal post-war world order did, in which what you have to do when you have two parties with a power imbalance is try to even them out. You bring up the weaker party, you bring down the stronger party and get them to negotiate as equals. I don't think Trump does that. I think he thinks it fails. And you look at what happened with the Palestinian people, and that's clearly failed because they had no incentive to give anything up. They were being elevated by the stalemate, and Israel had no incentive to give anything up because they were being brought down by it. Trump sees things like a deal maker, like a real estate guy. The way you get people to negotiate is by exacerbating the power imbalance. And if you look closely at what he accomplished in phase 1 is exactly that. He got Hamas to give up its only power, its only leverage, which was those precious 20 living hostages. So they now have nothing left to negotiate with, which is the perfect starting point for peace. And meanwhile, the Israelis have every reason to feel safe and secure in coming here because Trump, as he said in his speech, he insisted again and again, I will always have your back. I love you and I will always stand by you. And so he got the stalemate to kind of ease up, not by giving Hamas more power, by taking it away. What I think he really accomplished is, I think Trump approaches.
Yeah, I think it's the beginning. All right. Well, I mean, that's probably a fair way to look at it. Exacerbating the imbalances. And yeah, until you got the hostages back, they weren't going to ever stop. Like, it was literally never going to stop. And it's like, hold on. If that's the biggest thing that you want, will you stop if we do this? Like, and we mean it. Like, we're interested in ending this. Didn't seem like they were very interested in ending it. Just like Zelensky and Putin don't seem very interested in ending it. You know, I guess that's kind of the pain that we feel. Trying to like help a friend out, like if they're in a schoolyard fight or something. You know, at some point you need to pull someone off for the benefit of the other person. And then there's another phase where you have to pull somebody off for the benefit of the person you're pulling off because they're going too far. They're Mel Gibson in a blinded rage, just chopping into a muddy riverbank. Hatchet after hatchet after hatchet, like you've just gone primal. That's what war is. That's why you typically don't. That's why it's typically not advised to go butcher 1,500 of your neighbors. You know, oftentimes neighbors take offense to that and will destroy you in war. I mean, how could what other option is left? So the point of returning their only bargaining chip, that is a leap of faith. And so, you know, all the thanks, Obama, thanks the Jews, people that blame that group for 100% of life's problems. Ooh, it's a little chilly today. Thanks the Jews. Thanks, Obama. There's some concern that they're going to accept the peace deal, get their people back, and they're going to continue attacking and continue what you hear often referred to as the genocide. So time will tell. Time will tell on all that. All right, Stu Peters, I'm not very familiar with him. I've seen a few things. But he's asking, has anyone heard where Charlie Kirk was laid to rest? And I said, no, I in all of my, it's been a month now. I have not heard anything about that. I feel like I should have accidentally heard about that. So let's hear what he has to say.
Has anybody heard where Charlie Kirk is buried, by the way? Has Charlie Kirk been buried? Has there been a funeral, or was it just the pyrotechnic infused, fundraiser that was spied on by a company that deployed geofencing technology, which is an Israeli-based company, which Erica Kirk's mom sits on the board of directors for? Was it that? Was that it? Was that the only funeral? The same company that Erica Kirk is on the board for, this Israeli-based geofencing, aka spy company. Was it that company that spies on churches, that spies on Christians, that knows when they're at church so that they can flood their phones with pro-Israel propaganda? Was it those people? These are the people that are just, there's a lot of anomalies here. There are a lot of weird.
And I'm looking it up on Grok. I'm asking 4 or 5 or 6 times. Available info doesn't explicitly state whether he was buried on private property or in a cemetery, but they do claim it to be in Phoenix, Arizona. Specific details were not publicly disclosed. And do you want it to be a gathering location? Or do you want it to be private so that it's not desecrated? You desecrated his life. You snuffed out his life. Tell me you wouldn't break a tombstone? I don't know.
Circumstances all the way around with this thing. Has Charlie Kirk been buried? Does anybody know that? Was there an actual funeral for close family members? Did the media cover that at all? What cemetery has he been buried in? The chain of custody, the alleged chain of custody of Charlie Kirk's body going directly in to the custody of the vice president, J.D. Palantir, flew in with Air Force Two, picked up Charlie Kirk's body and took it to some undisclosed location. And I do hear a lot of things about Valhalla. Has anybody heard where Charlie Kirk is buried, by the way? Has Charlie Kirk been buried? Has there been a funeral, or was it just the pyrotechnic?
Yeah, it was the beginning again. Valhalla. Okay, so if any one of you... here, I'll drop the comment from Grok. It was not publicly released. Okay. Zero Hedge reposted this. This is the reply that caused Hillary Clinton to turn off her replies. I do recall seeing this. I don't know if it's confirmed true, but allegedly from March of 16. It says the top 25 hedge fund managers make more than all the kindergarten teachers in America combined. That's not acceptable. Kevin Tolpo. Let's see. Can you see this? Yes. Says Goldman Sachs paid you more for a 20-minute speech than a kindergartner makes in 10 years. Yeah, that's a great reply. All right, here's some footage of what's purported to be hostages being released. This is a good day. This is a vibe check. These people have been through hell. You can have your personal opinions of Israel, personal opinions of Hamas, personal opinion of Judaism, personal opinion on Islam. Yep, you can have all those opinions. But these are human beings. And if you believe the story as presented, they were captured by people from the invading army that butchered 1,500 of their countrymen and kept them like probably abused shelter animals. Poorly cared for animals at a Joe Exotic petting zoo, perhaps. Or all of his animals were treated perfectly. It's actually just very expensive and complicated too, and they cut a lot of corners according to that documentary that I watched. But look, these are people who have been through hell. Let's celebrate them getting out of hell. This is GBN News. What is GBN News? GB News. I don't know what that stands for. Okay. Britain's news channel. Okay. All right, I've played some of their stuff before. I couldn't recall. All right, so these are the people getting out.
Watch as Israeli hostages are reunited with their families after more than 2 years in captivity. Donald Trump declared the end of the Israel-Gaza war.
So this long and difficult war has now ended. You know, some people say 3,000 years, some people say 500 years, whatever it is. It's the granddaddy of them all. And in an unprecedented achievement, virtually the entire region has endorsed the plan that Gaza will be immediately demilitarized, that Hamas will be disarmed, and Israel's security will no longer be threatened in any way, shape, or form.
The last 20 living hostages held by Hamas in Gaza were returned to Israel today. The terror group said it would also release the remains of 4 hostages who died in captivity, but that it does not know the whereabouts of the other bodies. Nick Dunning, GB News.
So that answers the question. There are people they don't know the whereabouts. Okay, I wonder how many. Let me ask Grok. How many captives cannot be returned because Hamas does not know their whereabouts? With their whereabouts. Whereabouts is such a word. 7 to 15. Is, according to Grok, Israeli intelligence assessments, as reported by multiple sources, indicate that Hamas lacks knowledge of the exact locations of the remains of 7 to 15 deceased Israeli hostages in Gaza. This uncertainty stems from the hostages being held in various locations, some under rubble from military operations, and possibly transferred to other factions over which Hamas has limited control. Transferred to other factions. So there could be 15 other people being held by somebody else. These figures specifically concern dead hostages whose bodies cannot be readily returned, complicating the final phrase of the recent ceasefire deal that returned all 20 living hostages October 13th. Today. Round of applause. You know? It's sort of what I've yelled at the TV my whole life. Like all somebody ever had to do was just kind of care. Just kind of, I know it's taken a lot, and you know, we might never see another president like Donald Trump. Literally wrote the art of the deal. How do you stop a war? You make a deal. That's all anything is cutting deals. Overall, of the original 251 hostages taken October 7th, 2023, 168 have been returned alive, and the bodies of 58 have been repatriated, leaving 28 presumed dead whose remains were slated for return, but not all can be located. Chances that the other factions who got hostages still have them? I don't know if that's a weird question to ask Grok. I mean, I know it's kind of a weird. The chance for getting deceased remains is 80 to 90%, but it's low for finding someone living, which is 0%. Okay. Anyway, we could dig into the details, but like, that's just stopping this is pretty good, pretty important. Crazy times indeed. John says, winning. Exactly. David, and yes, of course, clean up the shit show in Canada. 100%. Hey, here's your moment of zen. Have you ever watched this? This guy's funny. He's interesting. I hear him say some wild shit that I'm like, whoa. But at least be interesting. I don't have to agree or disagree with you, but at least be interesting. Check this out. I never watched this video before.
Hey, life's a joke, everything's corrupt, but here's a video of Ben Shapiro knocking himself out with a punching bag in law school. Enjoy.
Think you're better than me, Paul? You think because you're hanging here all day, you're higher than me, you're better than me? Yeah, well, I don't miss you. You're not. I'm a fighter. I can think. Yeah, you are not better than me at all. Yeah, I'll teach you.
Hey, life's a joke, everything's corrupt, but here's a video of
Never
Ben
seen what's
Shapiro
on the floor?
knocking himself out with a punching bag.
He didn't
in
actually
law
knock
school.
himself out, but he
Enjoy it.
Think you're better than me, Paul? You think just because you're hanging there all day, you're higher than me, you're better than me? Yeah, well, I gotta miss you. You're not. I'm a bodyguard. I can think. Yeah, you're not better than me at all. Yeah, I'll teach you.
I don't know if that's actually him, but oh my God. Do I do any of the comments? Actual footage of Israel on October 7, 2023. Clay Parker Comedy said that. I don't quite get the joke. That bag is so anti-Semitic, DJ Armando. That bag didn't hang itself. Oh, that's Daniel said that. The punching bag was defending itself. Shri says that explains the brain damage. This is my favorite video on the internet, says Jess. The incel movement summed up in a single video. That's interesting. I hit someone first and I'm shocked they hit back is literally Israel in a nutshell, says Dan Henry. Yeah, and you got both sides pointing the fingers saying that. And it's been that way. It'll never stop. Thanks, Obama. And that's how his villain origin story began. Punching bag was hummus. Anyway, I never watched that, and that was just kind of funny. Oh, here's another meme. Put President Trump here. Bombs Venezuelan boats. Change this. There you go. Bombs Venezuelan boats. Loses Nobel Peace Prize to a Venezuelan. The U.S. is probably funding her too. Says we are libertarians. But yeah, by the way, keep your eyes peeled on Fernando Valenzuela down there in Venezuela. Keep your eyes peeled. You've heard the stories about the voting machines in Venezuela. You think the Maduro thing's just about drugs? I think the story is that they may be implicated in 2020. And that story's been going on for years. This is no surprise to me. I don't excessively cover it because until we have any relevant updates, what's the point? But yeah, Venezuela and the rigged voting machines. The allegations. No, I don't have any specific evidence to prove that the 2020 election was stolen because that's what we have to say. In fact, if we want to be super careful, we'll put on the bottom of the screen for countervailing views on health and elections. Go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control because they'll tell you 2020 was the only free and fair election in the history of elections. But keep your eyes peeled on Valenzuela, as I like to call it, because, look, Congress just had a vote. They missed it by a couple of votes. Senator Rand Paul's like, you don't just get to bomb ships. You don't just get to bomb boats that you suspect could be something. Like, you don't just get to do war without declaring war. You know, and I appreciate Rand Paul's consistency in bringing these issues up. And I also understand the need to defend our country. And I know that there's some balance in there somewhere with civil liberties. But keep your eyes peeled on Venezuela. All right, here's The View discussing the Insurrection Act. Remember that phrase too?
If we've ever been here, I know in my lifetime, I've never.
Well, the
seen
Insurrection Act has been ordered by other people.
Yes.
Lincoln and
Yes.
Rodney
George
King
in the 1992,
Yeah.
H.W. Bush
they've
did
done it,
insurrection.
but
the
It
governors
wasn't done
asked
on
for
January 6th, though. It
no,
wasn't
that
invoked
was.
on
If
January
anybody
6th.
knows about an insurrection, it's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't invoked then. It wasn't invoked then.
The thing about it is that him sending military into Portland had an ICE facility protest of 8 to 15 people. That was it. Because he sent them in there, it's gotten worse. So he creates the problem.
If we've ever
good
been here,
grief.
I know in my lifetime, I've never.
Well, the
seen anything
Insurrection
like
Act has been ordered by other people.
creates
Lincoln
problem.
and
Yes.
I dated
in the
Yes.
90s.
1992,
Yeah.
H.W. Bush did.
All right. That's not fair. And we all know it. That problem's been going on in Portland for a long time. And it's not a fake problem. It is a legitimate problem. And I appreciate it. I think it's high time that Dad comes home and fixes up our cities. We don't just need to spend our time worrying about Hamas and Gaza and Israel and Ukraine and Russia and the Donbass. You know, we need to care about Memphis and Detroit and Cleveland and New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston. We need to care about our country. Clean it all up. So no, you don't say Trump created the problem. Now, Portland has been a disaster for a really long time. And I appreciate that we're finally addressing the elephant in the room. Here's this guy again. I forget his name, but he's got more interesting thoughts to say. The site is News Updates for Real. John Wyber.
Hey, in the world of what the fuck? I mean, scientists are saying we got 52 days till the aliens get here. 3-Eye Atlas.
3-Eye Atlas. Countdown begins. 53 days left until alien invasion in November of 25. Scientists warn humanity to prepare. How exactly are we preparing for that?
Can't wait. Can they hurry up? Jesus.
I can't wait. Can they hurry up?
I don't know if we're going to make it 52 days. Hey, did you know?
They have music. American military is using seawater to fuel their jets. And could that be applied to cars, that technology, to allow us to drive for very cheap? I'm sure they'll never give us that technology, but just so you know. Utah medical examiner named Tyler Robinson searched Israel IP address months before Charlie Kirk got shot. What was the, I can't play it because there's music in the background. So let me ask Grok, what is the claim about a search and Israel and the Utah medical examiner Charlie Kirk? See if Grok knows what I'm talking about. What you talking about? The claim alleges Israeli and Washington, D.C. based internet IP addresses conducted suspicious Google searches in June and July of 25 months before Charlie Kirk's death, specifically targeting Timpanogos Regional Hospital, where Kirk was taken post-shooting. Utah Chief Medical Examiner Deirdre Amaro, who oversaw the autopsy process. Various surgeons at Timpanogos Regional Hospital. Proponents frame this as bombshell evidence of premeditated involvement. They reference Toria Brooke specifically. Premeditated involvement by Israeli intelligence, such as Mossad and or U.S. government elements in Washington, D.C., in planning Kirk's assassination and cover-up. They suggest the searches indicate foreknowledge of the exact medical response chain, implying a coordinated hit disguised as a lone wolf attack by Robinson. This ties into broader conspiracy narratives accusing Israel of silencing Kirk due to his recent criticisms of Israel policies. For example, calling, or at least discussing, that some people are believing that October 7th, 2023 was an inside job, or when Charlie Kirk opposed AIPAC influence or refused pro-Israel funding offers. So this claim originated from a blog post on SGT Report, a site known for alternative media and conspiracy theories, titled Charlie Kirk Bombshell, which cited an anonymous data analyst named Baron Coleman as the source for the IP search logs. No verifiable raw data, screenshots, or search models, or independent verification has been provided. So this is what you would give the credibility to well, they don't say unidentified. A senior administration official told ABC off the record. The Washington Post reports that an unnamed administration official told them that zero credibility. Zero. Okay, if you put your ear to the train tracks and it's part of a larger batch of stories, then all right, you factor it in. But at least according to Grok, none of this is confirmed or anything. No verification. I think that's important. So yeah, when I share this guy, it's like I feel similar, like with some Alex Joe. Like there's a lot of people that just in casual scrolling, I'll stumble across some content. I'll watch some of it, and some of it's interesting and compelling, and some of it's a little head scratching. That's what we do around here, sifting through the rubbish to find fake news from fact. Where is the ship supposedly? 3i Atlas. Update tweets on 3i Atlas to see where it's at. It passed Mars October 3rd, which is 18 to 30 million miles away, captured by ESA's ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter. Headed toward perihelion closest to the sun on October 30. After that, it'll swing past Jupiter March 26 before exiting the solar system. Missions like ESA's JUICE and NASA's Hubble will track it further. Yeah, 3i, third eye. When will 3i land on Earth? It's on a hyperbolic trajectory, meaning it's just passing through our solar system at a high speed. It won't be captured by Earth's gravity or any other planet. Its closest approach to Earth will be around November of 25, at a safe distance of 170 million miles, well beyond any risk of impact. It's a spaceship, though, right? Let's see what Grok says. They list it as a natural interstellar comet, 10 to 30 kilometers in size, composed of water, ice, carbon dioxide, and dust, with a coma 19,000 kilometers, tail of 56,000 kilometers. All right, well, the spaceship idea, irregular shape, natural chemical makeup make the spaceship theory unlikely. Still, the what if keeps imaginations alive, especially since we can't get a close-up probe to it before it exits in 26. Okay. So probably a good idea to get prepared anyway. Well, Mars is supposedly 6 and a bunch of zeros away. Oh my gosh, Kenneth. 3-eyed, one-ironed, wide purple people eater. Oh my gosh, I haven't thought of that song in a long time. What is that song from? The Purple People Eater. What is that? That's what the old folks say. Oh my gosh, that's unlocking memories. Oh, did I just get activated as a Manchurian candidate? Great big barrels of greasy, grimy gopher meat Three-eyed horn, double-wide, purple people eater. That's what the old folks say. Thanks for that, Kenneth. Anyway, yep, the aliens are coming, or they're not. So get prepared, or don't bother. Hey, let's check in on the ICE facility outside of Chicago in Broadview.
I saw a guy in a Smokey Bear back there. I believe that is state police.
Obviously, and again, you have these situations where law enforcement is going to hold their ground, as Joy was mentioning, and when they cross the line, this is the response.
What they do there is when they've identified someone who's gone across the line, the proverbial line of doing something harmful, and they need to arrest them, they bring the line in front of them, they surround them, they actually protect that person too. That's why they're doing that. They're making sure that person doesn't get trampled. They've got to get them on the ground to subdue them for their own safety, and in doing so, they push the line forward. So that's how it becomes this trickle effect. One person does that, they push the line forward, several other people do, and next thing you know, you've lost control.
Yeah, and look, they're now going onto people's lawns, private property across from this ICE facility, but this is an incredibly dangerous situation for these state troopers, I believe they are, on the ground there, who are trying to help subdue this crowd, again, especially as the sun goes down, as you were mentioning.
I saw a guy in a Smokey Bear back there. I believe.
So,
Earlier, Joey, these people didn't go through security to get onto the street. They have no idea what they may have. And as we've seen with previous riots, when the sun goes down, other people show up, and they show up with bricks and shields and masks and their own style of weapons that these police and federal officials have to go after. So they're clearly trying to push these people across away. Earlier, Joey, these people didn't go through security to get onto the street.
What else does she got? Oh, I played this for you. This wrong delivery person. It was sweet. I played it last week. Tempted to play it again.
Do you love this lady? A cop was murdered.
Joe Rogan says the J6 narrative is BS. Kaneko the Great put this out. Take a listen.
Right.
That's not true.
I hate that.
They say it over and over again. That's not true. One cop died after the fact of a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
You could say maybe it was because of the stress of January 6th, perhaps.
Maybe. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe he shouldn't have been a cop.
Yeah. I mean, if you can
he had
die
such
of
significant health problems.
Right. Like, that's not normal to just die of a heart attack because of a very stressful day.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. This idea that they killed cops, that narrative keeps coming out. It was an insurrection. They murdered cops. They broke into the White House. They were looking for Nancy Pelosi. They were going to kill her. Like, okay, are you sure? Because there's a lot of this story that's bullshit. Now it turns out, at one point in time, they were saying it was 20 FBI agents. Now the latest number is 270.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people that are encouraging to say a cop was murdered.
Right.
That's not true.
I hate that.
They say it over and over again. It's not people to break in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's many instances of these suspected people that are on camera. A lot of them wearing face masks.
Mm-hmm.
There's one of them where a guy's removing the broken glass from the window and encouraging people to go in, and another guy gets in his face and goes, "Do not do that," and then he pushes that guy, "Fuck you," and the other guy backs off. How is that not being investigated as a serious crime? And like that is a serious, it's a violation of what you're supposed to be doing in the first place. If the FBI was on that lawn, I would hope what they would be doing is informing people entering into this building is a felony. Breaking these windows, getting into this building you do not want to do this. If you want to peacefully protest, do that. But I'm telling you, this will fuck with you for the rest of your life and people to break in. And there's many instances of these suspected people that are on camera. A lot of them wearing face masks.
I think that was the beginning of it again.
Most likely ruin it.
I think you're 100% right.
That's what I would hope from law enforcement. I wouldn't hope that they would be trying to set people up.
And from a civil society.
Right.
Do we want to set people up to go to prison? We want to wreck families and wreck people's lives? Why would we want to do that?
Also, what was there did they turn down the idea of bringing in the National Guard?
You know, I really don't understand. It appears, yes. It appears that that's exactly what happened.
Also significantly deterred people from committing these crimes.
That's right.
That they were encouraged to do.
I'll tell you, if I was at a demonstration and all of a sudden the National Guard showed up, I'd say, this isn't for me. Yeah.
And I think most people would do that as well.
I think you're right.
It's crazy. It's just most likely ruin it.
I think you're 100%.
So gross that our legal system gets used against political opponents in that way, in such a devious and
Obama took this to levels we've never seen before.
This a sinister way. So gross that our legal system gets used against political opponents in that way, in such a.
All right. Leading report says a transgender has been sentenced to prison for concealing biological reality from a man during a sexual act in Britain. Okay. I think you need to be honest with people. That's been the long running has been the accusation that there's violence in the trans community or something, as if it's just like, oh, those people have brown hair, let's get them. I don't like the people with brown hair. No, I think there's, at least according to data that I've researched previously, I don't have anything in front of me, but I at least recall reading information that a significant percentage of violence is when people are tricked into a situation where someone presents one way, but in reality, you know, it's a dude in a dress, and that's not what the guy was interested in, and you tricked him. You didn't explain, because that's fair. That's fair. That's very fair. Which is different from excusing violence, but it's very fair to tell somebody if you're pretending to be something that you're not. And if people are into that, you know, more power to you. Have the best day. You do you. How much am I supposed to participate in anything you feel like doing? I don't think I need to at all. Nor should it bother me or worry me all that much what two consenting people do. But if they're misrepresenting who they are, I think that leads to a lot of the problems that are then like, oh, we're so persecuted. We're such a hated community. And it's like, I don't think many people really care. Just do your thing over there. I don't think people are really going out of their way to care too much. But if people are going to pretend to be something they're not and end up in a situation. But I guess that's what they're saying. Let me see if I can get any info on that story. What is it? Transgender concealed biological reality. Let's see if I can. See if Grok has an actual. AF Post, a transsexual man sentenced to 21 months in prison for concealing his biological sex from a man before a sexual encounter. Okay, is this the person? Oh boy. Sierra Walken found guilty of SA and jailed for 21 months. Okay. All right. Okay. All right then. Okay. Wishing you a Charlie Brown fall. All right, what's this? Toria Brooks says President Trump shared a triumphal arch rendering plan for the United States' 250th birthday. The stone arch would be constructed just across the Potomac River from the Lincoln Memorial. Many note that the arch's similarity to the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. Others celebrate the structure's nod to free energy. Free energy. Whoa, now. Is that what we're about to get? Free energy? Harrison Design. Okay, so that's like a big park monument. Yeah, like, can we build cool things again? Nick Fuentes says young men should infiltrate top institutions like Stanford and Yale and take over the government.
To go to Yale, go to Stanford, go to Harvard, infiltrate the government. We need the smartest young people to get jobs at the Pentagon, at the Department of War, at DHS. Yes, at the CIA. And, you know, that guy, Dan Caldwell, I kind of make fun of him for crying a little bit, but we need guys like that. We need young whippersnappers like him. He's probably like my age, but we need young guys like that, a new generation to rise through the ranks in the security state, because personnel is policy. Only if we actually control those levers, only if our guys control those levers, do we actually see change. And this,
I mean, there's truth in that. If you want something to change, you gotta join it. I did that in college. I didn't like the way the newspaper was covering me every day, whether I was running for school president or putting on a large concert for our university activities organization. I mean, we were in the news on a daily basis, it seemed. And so I went and I worked for the newspaper. And I had a journalism minor, so I was very interested in communications. So I went and worked there and sort of changed it a little bit in my own way. I would write staff editorials that were the opposite of what 90% of the staff. I'm like, hey, I'm staff. I'm allowed to have an opinion too. I don't want it to be 100% lefty commie crap. Put a little bit of common sense in there from time to time, because I'm on the staff too, doggone it.
This is why I've been pushing this so strongly for 10 years. I want groypers to go to Yale, go to Stanford, go to Harvard, infiltrate the government.
Oh, so he's saying it not just as a government thing, groypers. He's talking like to infiltrate what he's saying the Jews are doing. I don't know. Like I said, I never listened to this kid, and now I see his stuff everywhere. I got friends like, oh, check him out. Check him out. You watching it? Oh, I love this guy. I'm like, okay. But infiltrating the colleges, yeah, I mean, just on that level, I agree completely.
We need the smartest young people to get jobs at the Pentagon, at the Department of War, at DHS. Yes, at the CIA.
Everywhere, then.
And, you know, that guy, Dan Caldwell, I kind of make fun of him for crying a little bit, but we need guys like that. We need young whippersnappers like him. He's probably like my age, but we need young guys like that, a new generation to rise through the ranks in the security state, because personnel is policy. Only if we actually control those levers, only if our guys control those levers, do we actually see change. And this is why I've been pushing this so strongly for 10 years. I want groypers to go to Yale, go to Stanford, go to Harvard. We are getting outmaneuvered constantly. Like, look, we elect Trump. Yeah, Trump agrees with us, but who does he appoint? Do you follow? People say, well, we have to make sure Republicans win. And Republicans win the White House, they win the Senate, and Trump agrees with us, but he appoints neocons. The Senate confirms neocons. Neocons run the departments and agencies, and they hire as their deputies and their deputies' deputies other neocons from their office, from their campaign, you know, from the other neocons, from the think tanks. That's what they do. And because they're good at this stuff, they outmaneuver the trusting face, the trusting endomorphic face of Dan Caldwell. You know, he seems like a nice enough guy, but he's getting outmaneuvered and shanked in the back. We are getting back.
All right, I don't know how many more of that's going to be. Yeah, I'm just not familiar with him, so I asked Grok. There were Groyper Wars of 2019 when Nick Fuentes directed followers to crash events by Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, and others. They'd ask loaded questions. I don't know. I'm reading how they're trying to say bad stuff about Groypers. I don't know. What else to say? It's a term for a member of support of Nick Fuentes. All right. They call him a white nationalist. Okay. Anyway, whatever. Everybody gets called something. Tory Brooks says President Trump directed the Pentagon to use all available funds to pay troops amid the shutdown. More than 4,000 workers at 7 federal agencies could get layoff notices, according to a court filing. Witnesses say there may have been a bird strike with a tail rotor. Huntington Beach Fire upgraded this to a multi-casualty incident. This could have been so much worse.
I changed his mind. Oh no, 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 no. Oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god.
There's a freeze. Stop happening way worse. Tennessee officials announced that 16 people were officially ended in Friday's explosion at the Accurate Energetic Systems munitions plant near Bucksnort. Bucksnort. There's a place in America called Bucksnort. Prayers to everybody involved. That's awful. All right. Let's keep it moving. Chief Nerd put this out. It's Obama saying, I've become increasingly concerned about the rising wave of authoritarianism. We're seeing politicians target civil society, undermining freedom of the press, weaponize the justice system, and as no one is being spared. Jimmy Dore goes, Obama prosecuted more journalists using the Espionage Act than all presidents before him combined. So yeah, shove it. But yeah, by the way, the Nick Fuentes thing, just as I'm scrolling, things are popping up, and we're going to talk about some things. You killed the nice guy, Charlie Kirk, so you're going to hear from Milo, you're going to hear from Nick, you're going to hear from people that are going to be objectionable, but, you know, you're going to deal with Tucker and Candace. You're going to deal with all of us. We're all going to have this conversation. What's this conversation? Just any conversation. And so that's what these people are doing here, having a conversation on a college campus. This one talking about how Islam and dictators always use leftists to destabilize areas so they can take control.
To go back to your point about leftist violence, you have to understand this is not something new. This is not something that's randomly happening. It happened in China, it happened in Vietnam, it happened in Cuba, which I'm Cuban. So every single time the leftists take over, what do they want? Revolution. To what? Break down the status quo. How do they do that? Not through peace, they do it through revolution. Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, Pol Pot, Mao Zedong, Stalin. Every single time, that's how they do it. And you know who they use? All of you. They use the university students. They use leftists. The authoritarians, the strongmen, convinced the leftists to fight for them. It happened in Iran where the Ayatollah took over. It happened in Cuba with Castro. They get the leftists to disrupt and cause destabilization. Once they take power, they get rid of all of the leftists that help them get in power. Mao Zedong created the Red Guard. When he got in power, he said, all universities canceled. I want you to get my book. It's called The Little Red Book. Put it in your pocket and go around. And if any teacher has spoken out against me, I want you to tell the communist commissar we're going to arrest him and kill them. They did that. The army didn't step in. They allowed the protesters and the revolutionaries to do what they want. You know what Mao did after he got power? He said, I don't need any more destabilization. He sent them out into the fields to work, and 9 million of them died. That's what he's done. The Shah did it, the same thing to the leftists. The leftists are always, we call them the useful idiots. Not all of them, but the ones who are revolutionary. They are used to destabilize. They go after the young people in universities every single time, hundreds and hundreds of years. This is the same thing happening over again. This is not new. What you're experiencing is not new. It's just new to you. It's new to our age. But go back to your point about leftist violence.
That's a great conversation. We said it's all about the useful idiots, is it not? Greta Thunberg. We need to stop the war in Gaza. Just did. No, not you. Are the leftists who've been shrieking about the genocide in Gaza, are they going to be able to accept the win? Kind of doesn't seem like it, does it? Here's Wesley Hunt. People are saying he needs to play a bigger role in this administration. He's the embodiment of the America First movement. Take a listen. Shared by Laser the Conservative.
Wait a minute. That's not January 6th. That's May 31st, 2020. That's right in front of the White House. That's where the president lives. And at the time, President Trump was ushered into a bunker because his life was being threatened. Where was the hotline? Next photo. That's not January 6th either. That's July 27th. That is in Portland. And that is Antifa rioting and pillaging our country. Where was the hotline? Next slide.
Yeah, where's the hotline?
Well, hot damn. That's not January 6th either. Those are more rioters that are destroying and rioting in Salt Lake City. Next slide. I believe is that it? But wait, there's more. And that's not January 6th either. That's June 1st, 2020. And that's the streets of D.C. that are being rioted and pillaged by rioters. Where's the outrage? Where's the hotline? This is what domestic terror looks like. This is not a school board meeting. There is no hotline for any of these riots. And we are going to have a hotline that's going to report parents for caring about their children's education. And even further, the DOJ would rather investigate 1,000 more people from January 6th than any single person in these photos. What a shame. And that is why this is no longer the Department of Justice. It is the Department of Subjective Justice. And with that, I yield back. Wait a minute, that's not
There you go. Claim the narrative. People are saying this is Bad Bunny sparking controversy by remaining sitting during God Bless America. Let's take a look. Well, looks Grok is saying that is what happens. Seventh inning stretch, long-standing MLB tradition where fans typically stand for the song, though it's not the national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner, which Bad Bunny did stand for earlier in the game. Okay, he did stand for that. I don't know. I don't know if you have to for God Bless America, but it went viral. Tommy Lahren called it a sign of disdain for America, fueling boycott calls under hashtags like boycott Bad Bunny. Defenders noted standing isn't required for God Bless America and highlighted his Puerto Rican roots, making him a U.S. citizen. Puerto Rico makes you a U.S. citizen. Can you be... Okay. Individuals are natural-born U.S. citizens under the Jones-Shafferth Act of 1917. So a natural-born citizen, 35 years old, resident of the U.S. for at least 14 years, Puerto Rican-born individual means the natural-born citizen requirement is met. Assuming they meet other criteria, he would be eligible to run for president. Okay. Well, anyway, they are saying that that appears to be him. So if you see that, believe that's him. And he stood for the national or for the Star Spangled Banner. In case you're curious. Here's the point of view if you're an MS-13 gang member who wants free healthcare. Here's Hakeem Jeffries. Welcomes you in. There's Chuck Schumer. Love to see it. Oh, no, there's Hakeem Jeffries. Oh, the other guy. Who's Timu? AOC. Oh, they've all been waiting for you. Isn't that special? Where's Kevin? He's actually starting. Here's your money. Oh, that's Cory Booker. I'm sorry. We're going to put it in the comments. Is Cory Booker Timu Hakeem Jeffries? Yeah, that's Cory Booker, not Hakeem Jeffries. It's a funny meme, though. Uh-oh. Tucker Carlson gets asked the question about Charlie Kirk. We've all been wondering if he was going to answer. And he says he's been trying to avoid talking about it, but here you go. Oh, doggone it. It's just be unmuted.
Really tried.
Who killed Charlie Kirk?
I've really tried not to publicly speculate or say anything that I can't prove.
And you shouldn't. That's smart.
I love Charlie, and I talked to his wife this morning. I love his wife, Erica, and I don't want to make it worse. Here's all I'll say. If the FBI and the authorities in Utah end this investigation by declaring Tyler Robinson a lone gunman with no accomplices whatsoever, without having done, a truly exhaustive investigation, that will not be adequate. I want to trust the FBI. There's no reason to trust the FBI at all. They've been caught acting in bad faith and conducting what I consider crimes so many times, lying so many times, that I think it's, at this point, especially since my
They've destroyed the agency.
Friend who was assassinated, I think it's fair to demand a real investigation with a lot of transparency. And if they say, well, we can't say that because we don't want to prejudice the jury or, it's going to affect the prosecution, that's not a good answer. If it turns out the FBI is not doing an adequate investigation, people should go bonkers. They should go bonkers and absolutely demand it, because this is too much.
Who killed Charlie Kirk? Who killed Charlie Kirk?
I wonder.
Tory Brooks shares some more stuff here. Who is this? I don't know who this is. But they're talking about, this is the claim about the searches that have not produced any verifiable information. But this is what people are saying.
I wonder if anybody Googled the hospital where they took Charlie Kirk. Wonder if anybody Googled the hospital where they took Charlie Kirk. They took him to Timpanogos Regional Hospital. That's there in the district. That's there in Utah. They have, I think, a campus in Orem, Utah. Sligo District of Columbia. Here's where, again, on September 10th, 11th, right there, you see the searches for Timpanogos Regional Hospital, people looking for where they took Charlie Kirk. But you'll see this spike of interest in Timpanogos Regional Hospital out of D.C., and then no interest for 2 solid months before the shooting. But again, keep in mind that July 20 anchor date. Here we have a July 16, 2025. And then we have a July 3, and we have a June 28. And if you go out 12 months, you'll notice you even had one back then, and then this all kind of goes out. So something's going on here at the Timpanogos Regional Hospital search. And then right the day before the shooting, somebody in the District of Columbia says, we should really make sure we know what the Timpanogos Regional Hospital is. We really should make sure we know the day before he gets shot. So you had that July 20 anchor date, the time around there. You had a time way back. It could be anything. And then the day before, I wonder if anybody Googled and says, we need to look up Timpanogos Regional Hospital. Maybe they're looking up an address. Maybe they're looking up, who knows? But again, I'm just reporting the facts. I'm not drawing conclusions tonight. I could give you possible conclusions you could draw, and you could draw your own conclusions, or you could just sit back and look and learn like I did. Because after Timpanogos Regional Hospital, I thought, I wonder who the medical examiner is in Utah. I wonder who the medical examiner is in Utah, because it appears to me, based on everything I've looked at, that Charlie Kirk may not have had an autopsy, which I find shocking. Shocking. Because an autopsy could give you
And I think that is not accurate. I think that was, but do we have access to it? Those would be different questions.
a lot of things, such as what angle did the bullet come in? Where did the bullet go? What type of bullet was it? What damages were done to the organs? Were there any other injuries? And this is going to come up in a minute. Were there any other injuries anywhere else in the body? And so I wondered who the medical examiner was there in Utah. And I looked her up. She's a woman named Deidre Amaro. And she was looked up, at this time not in the District of Columbia, but in Israel, which I thought was very strange. June 30th of 2025. In Israel. June 30th, 2025, an IP address originating in says we need to look.
Okay, but Grok was saying this isn't confirmed. This is the accusation. These are very specific, though, I suppose.
Again, we talked last week about the ways IP addresses can end up somewhere. But Deidre Amaro, the medical examiner there in Utah, somebody with an IP address originating in Israel decided they were very interested in Deidre Amaro. And lest you think I didn't check, the reason I'm not showing you others, go to the District of Columbia, for example, not there. You can even go to Utah and see. Not there. So if it's not in the District of Columbia and it's not in Utah, this is not a very common search, is what I'm pointing out here. Not a very common search at all. But there it was in Israel. So I thought, that's weird. That's weird. So I press on. All right. This one gets a little deep. This one, if you have a 5-point safety harness in your seat, you might want to go ahead and fasten it. You will have full access to your entire seat. You will only need the front edge for this one. This one took a little research. I was very curious when the Talking Points USA spokesperson came out and said they had spoken to the surgeon, but didn't give the surgeon's name. So I thought, who's the surgeon? Well, again, we talked last week about the ways IP addresses can end up somewhere. Again, this is the surgeon who looked, according to the Talking Points USA spokesperson, who seems like a nice guy, not knocking him at all. Only doing his job, relaying the message that he was given from the surgeon, just letting the world know about it. Fine with it. This is the guy who said, hey, Charlie's made of steel. This bullet would have normally gone through almost anybody, but Charlie's made of steel. But he didn't give the surgeon's name. And again, remember, Deidre Amora, they didn't do an autopsy, I don't think. At least that's the news on the street. They didn't do an autopsy. So I go and I get a list of all the surgeons I can find at the Orem branch of Timpanago's regional hospital. And I think, could anyone have looked up any of these people? The first surgeon I could find was a guy named Stephen Nealman. Stephen Nealman. Remember that date, July 20? This is July 18th. This is July 18th. Stephen Nealman. July 18th, 2025. This was
Yeah, they are playing it fast, I believe.
out of our friends on the other side of the planet over there. Very curious about the surgeons in Utah, you'll find out. I go to the next one I could find, Robert Patterson. I found a lot, so I added an MD to it. Robert Patterson, MD, July 23 and 24. Again, this is the surgeon who looked, according to the Talking Points USA spokesperson, who seems like a nice guy, not knocking him at all. Only doing his job, relaying the message that he was given from the surgeon, just letting the world know about it. Fine with it. This is the guy who said, hey, Charlie's made of steel. This bullet would have normally gone through almost anybody, but Charlie may have been the only one that was searched twice, 2 days in a row. July 23 and 24, Robert Patterson, MD. Again, I just find online a list of surgeons at Timpanogos. I eliminate people like the breast reconstruction surgeons because I didn't think that was necessary to look up. Actually, I might have looked up one of them. But I found the general surgeons, the emergency surgeons, all the people who minor surgery. I looked them all up. I go to the next one, Lee Trotter. Has anyone looked up Lee Trotter? Again, notice the date. Notice the date. This is right in that July 20 area, that July 20 timeline. Someone with an IP address originating in Israel, looking up Surgeon Lee Trotter.
So this, I don't even know who this is. But he's looking at charts and graphs. He's what, Google Trends? So I don't know. Is this actual evidence, or, well, I'm not sure what we're watching, but this guy's gone to great lengths to put some pieces together and show you spikes in search terms.
Near about that same July 20 time period. Are there other surgeons in the area? Yeah, as a matter of fact, there is. There's a guy named Lee Patterson.
I know, it is tough to hear because he's sped up time and a half.
So I look up Lee Patterson. Notice the date, July 19th. Somebody with an IP address originating in Israel in the week of July 20, that week on either side of July 20, was very interested in all the people who practice surgery at Timpanogos Regional Hospital in Orem, Utah. There was a lot of interest from, may have been the only one that was searched twice, 2 days in a row, from an IP address originating there. Now, let's just, we talked about the different, let's say someone's using a VPN. At this point, if I'm the FBI or I'm the Utah State Police, I think this is still a Utah State Police matter, by the way. This didn't cross jurisdictional lines, I don't think. If I'm the Utah State Police, I'm calling Google and saying, I need to know the IP addresses that hit this. I need to know if this belongs to a VPN, does it belong to this? Is it the same IP address that looked up all the different surgeons in my county? Because there's more. By the way, there's a guy named Brian Gill, probably a very talented surgeon. July 22, IP address originating in Israel. What about Richard Rasmussen? I'm sure he's a fine surgeon, a nice guy, probably a pillar of the community. Also searched, July 14th, IP address originating in Israel, Richard Rasmussen. Again, if I'm the state police, if I'm the FBI, I have real concerns that my surgeons are being searched within a very narrow time window, like 7 to 10 days of each other. And I want to know, is it the same IP address looking at all of them? Because I want to know who the hell is so curious about my surgeons in my local hospital. If I'm the FBI, I might ask, is this related to from an IP address originating there? Now, let's just, assassination, where they rushed the body there, and there was a surgeon that declared Charlie Kirk a Superman and claims he found the bullet, and then signed the death certificate, and there was no autopsy. And people may have been searching the surgeon. Assassination, where they rushed the body there, and there was a surgeon that declared Charlie Kirk.
All right, that was a lot to take in. But I just want us to understand what the claims are. We need more answers, and we need them yesterday. Candace Owens says 9/10. A contracted U.S. military owned by Lasai LLC flew around the campus at around the time Charlie was assassinated. What? An Egyptian Air Force jet departed Provo in the morning, completing its first ever trip to Utah. Who were the passengers? Egyptian Air Force. Okay. Don't know what that is. What is this? Oh, well, if you can't. President Trump talking about the peace deal.
Your own papers and your own networks. Everybody's very excited about this moment in time. So I'll see you on the plane. I think you're traveling with us, but this is a very special event. They had 500,000 people yesterday and today in Israel, and also the Muslim and Arab countries are all cheering. Everybody's cheering at one time. That's never happened before. Usually if you have one cheering, the other isn't. The other is the opposite.
They say a good divorce is where both sides are equally unhappy.
This is the first time everybody is amazed and they're thrilled, and it's an honor to be involved. And we're going to have an amazing time, and it's going to be something that's never happened before. So I'll see you on the plane, and we're going to have a good time. Okay, Peter? Nice to see you. Thank you, everybody. And I guess if you...
We're going to have a good time.
I got no time to say.
Chance the Rapper, performing in Chicago, says, I have a new chain, and this says F Ice. Okay.
This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
Protest silly season.
Show me what democracy looks like.
That's what democracy looks like. FBI says the FBI and our partners seized domains associated with Breach Forums, a major criminal marketplace used by shiny hunters, Baphomet, and Intel broker to traffic stolen data and facilitate extortion. This takedown removes access to a key hub used by these actors to monetize intrusions, recruit collaborators, and target victims across multiple sectors. It demonstrates the reach of coordinated international law enforcement operations to impose cost on those behind cybercrime. Good. Maui announces U.S. nationals visiting the West African country will be required to post a bond of up to $10,000 for business and tourist visas in response to a similar requirement the Trump admin has imposed on its citizens. Okay, that's Mali. In July, U.S. officials visited Mali to discuss counterterrorism operation and economic partnerships, including potential access to Mali's gold and lithium reserves. Okay. Yeah, that's always exciting when the United States discovers stuff that they want on your property. France has officially formed a new government. I don't know. Give this one a month. What do you say? What's the betting?
Okay, here we go.
I don't know what this is. It's a dog that jumped into the cake? Is that AI? That's AI. All right, I don't know why that's there.
I wonder if anybody...
President Trump.
There
he is walking, and the red carpet treatment. Wherever he goes, man, this is a big deal. This is all a big deal. All of this stuff is a big deal. And he's uniquely qualified for all of this. Red carpet was rolled out for President of the United States and Israel. Observers are pointing out irregularities in walking patterns of the individual next to President Trump. Straight arms with the guy on the left. Is that Bibi? I don't know if it's not Bibi. It sort of looks like him. Maybe your best. That is Netanyahu, I believe. The comments say, oh, he went to go visit the real president. You hear that all the time. Is that a Netanyahu robot? It's not communicating, and it's walking like a Tesla. Viktor Orban says President Trump has done it again. Upon his invitation, I will attend the peace summit in Sharm el-Sheikh today, where the leaders of the USA, Qatar, Turkey, and Egypt will sign the Middle East peace plan, a tremendous achievement. President Trump has made it happen. And if we do not fall for the pro-war siren calls, he will get it done in Ukraine as well. We must give him all the support he needs for that, regardless of geography, size, or weight. There exists a global pro-peace network that works together for peace everywhere, whether in the Middle East, the Caucasus, or Ukraine. Hungary is a proud member of this pro-peace network, the Alliance of Common Sense People. Viktor Orban. Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, and someone else, Steve Witkoff, Greek president, and the tarmac of Ben Gurion. All right. Well, all these things are happening. We got to do some history. Here's this guy again with some more Charlie Kirk stuff.
We got to talk about George Zinn.
All right. George Zinn is an absolute. Come on, guys.
You remember this fucking freak? This guy at the Charlie Kirk shooting? He caused a distraction pretty much so Tyler Robinson or whoever the actual shooter was could get away. This guy is like super tied into American history. He is definitely CIA. He's been around. This guy was in Reagan's funeral. This is all from a podcast which was dug up by James Lee. Shout out, James. Love you. But yeah, George Zinn has had his fucking grimy little fingers in everything. He's been around. He was a witness on 9/11, right? He was at the Boston Marathon bombing, and now he's a pivotal fucking part of the Charlie Kirk assassination. He was also, after people started asking questions about George Zinn, he was slapped real quick with some child no-no pick.
And while it's easy to say, oh, well, a creep is going to be a creep, of course. That's also one of those things. If I sat on a jury, I don't know that I could ever believe that someone couldn't plant something like that. Oh, look what they happen to have. Oh, did they? Now, that's unfortunate because they're, those are exactly the types of people that I like the least on this planet. But the other theory is that they only work with people that can be blackmailed and controlled that way. But then why would you go on the nuclear option? I don't know. It's interesting.
Charges on. Remember how the Las Vegas gunman's brother was saying that Steve Paddock was innocent, and then he got slapped with that? That's interesting. Who else did that happen to? It's almost like when they want you to stop asking questions about someone, they just like this George.
And they got music playing, so I should probably stop playing this, unfortunately.
Guy talks about having connections with Kissinger, Al Gore.
Yeah. Goes back to Iran-Contra.
This is not a normal fucking member of society. It's not just some random guy.
Anyway, there's too much music for me to keep playing it, and there's no subtitles, but you get the point.
We got to talk about...
Secretary of State Marco Rubio says, I hope the whole nation understands how incredibly proud they should be of their president. This site reporting, and I've seen many claims of this, Libs Meme Central. Somali national Asha Farhan Hassan. I'm going to look that up. Asha Farhan. Yes, 28-year-old woman from Minneapolis, federally charged on September 24th with one count of wire fraud for her role in a scheme defrauding Minnesota Early Intensive Developmental and Behavioral Intervention Program, state Medicaid-funded initiative providing autism spectrum disorder treatment services to children under 21 out of more than $14 million. This marks the first in what federal prosecutors describe as a broader ongoing investigation into fraud targeting autism providers in the state, uncovered during probes into the massive $300 million Feeding Our Future child nutritional scandal. Hassan is at least the 76th person charged in the FOF case, where she allegedly pocketed an additional $465,000 by submitting fake meal counts and invoices through Smart Therapy LLC under FOF sponsorship. All right, that's a real story. Get rid of all of the fraudsters, please. All of the fraudsters, please. As soon as possible.
An answer.
Public place, you did it. Is this the best or the worst? What do you do?
The best.
Okay, the best. Probably the Obama thing.
John, what's the? Oh God.
Oh God.
John.
What?
What is your wife talking about?
I don't know.
We heard
We're not-
in there.
Here's to get back in. What happened?
We're not going to discuss that.
We're not going to discuss it?
We're not. We're not.
Oh my God. Secret Service. Come here.
John Legend backs Trump for 2026 Nobel Peace Prize. It's worth remembering that his wife, Chrissy Teigen, the best place they ever had sexual relations was probably the Obama thing, whatever that means. President Trump has drawn left-wing pop star John Legend's backing to win 26th Nobel Peace Prize with qualifications. Oh, okay. He once called him a dyed-in-the-wool racist, but now
I'm thankful to
the award. Ukrainian President Zelensky praises Melania Trump for her peace efforts. After the First Lady opened a line of communication with Russian President Vladimir Putin to return Ukrainian children home from Russia. That's good. In the next 24 hours, President will meet with hostage families at the Knesset in Israel, then head to Egypt for the Middle East peace ceremony. Joe Biden could never. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdelhadi says Egypt is confident in the implementation of the first phase of the Trump peace plan. Hamas will not govern post-war Gaza, Hamas source close to negotiating committee says. Temporary technocratic and apolitical Palestinian committee would be charged with the day-to-day running of public services. The source close to negotiators said they had asked for mediator Egypt to call a meeting before the end of next week to agree on the composition of the committee, and that the names are almost ready. Hamas, along with the other factions, have submitted 40 names. There is absolutely no veto over them, and none of them belong to Hamas. The most meaningful I love you wasn't expressed to you through words, but through silent tears of blood and a plea for forgiveness of an unspoken message saying they don't know what they're doing. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Okay. In Madagascar, Gen Z is leading an alleged coup, calling for an end to power and water shortages, government corruption, and demanding the resignation of President Andre Rajoelina. Soldiers from the elite Capsat military unit, historically loyal to Rajoelina, joined demonstrators in the capital, Antananarivo, and refused to shoot them. That's Madagascar.
Picks you up.
Russia holds a modest share of the rare earth metals market, about 2.6 thousand tons per year, or less than 1% of global production, according to the Energy Institute. Moscow and Beijing effectively control the entire strategic supply cycle from extraction to processing. So we got to change that. China's rare earth metals dominance. Goodness. Yep, we got to fix that. The main feature of Russia isn't so much the volume of those wanted minerals, but the types of them. They have large rare elements like yttrium, cerium, neodymium, lanthanum, skidalarinky-dinky-dink, skidalarinky-doo, particularly in the Murmansk region, 12% of the world's resources. So All right. All right. Catalyst telling you what this is all used for. All right. Well, good. Anyway, check out that thread if you want some more info here. I liked this talk here. This was Sage Steele having a conversation with, who else was in this? 2 others. Who was the others? It won't tell me, but this is pretty accurate, I think.
People are being programmed literally to believe that the people on the other side of the aisle are evil.
Yes.
Not have a different opinion, not have a different value set, not have a different background or experiences. Just evil. You're evil for wanting to vote for that guy. Don't you know? Well, don't I know what? The things that you've been told? Have you gone and double checked on all of those sources? Mm-hmm. This is why Samuel Clemens, he has this quote, which is essentially, it's easier to fool someone than to convince them that they've been fooled. Mm. Because the ego gets involved after you've been fooled. You might not know you got fooled, but once someone's trying to explain to you, yo, you got bad info. No, I didn't. Because if I got bad info, that means I treated everyone on that other side of the issue like they were evil and wrong and horrible and whatever else. I can't humble myself to eat that crow because that means I'm dying inside.
Yes.
Right? It's crazy the trap that people have found themselves in. People are being programmed literally to.
And there is a lot of that going on. And this is more of that.
No one.
Something. What's this guy's name? Vitek. Patriot Warrior says the time on that flight that we were talking about in Utah was UTC time, which was 3 hours before Kirk was offed. All right. Good point.
Thinks they're evil. Everyone thinks they're on the side of good.
Everyone thinks that they're on the side of good. We look at our political discourse and it's hilarious. Everybody's accusing each other of being evil and bad, but both sides, if you talk to them, actually think they're trying to do good. Both sides are on the side of good. Just remember that. People think they're on the side of good. They might be misguided and all those things still true, but everybody thinks they're on the side of good. So if you just start with that basic knowledge, how we interact is very different, where we no longer seek to criticize because you're evil. That's my judgment, but I seek to understand where you're sourcing that good from. And curiosity is a great way to interact with human beings with whom we disagree. It had music, so I couldn't play it for you. All right, more Nick, but you can. Well, what point is he making here?
Start this way for any of us. Do you think any of us?
Oh, okay. He's just saying none of us started this way. And the more you dig into things, that's why.
Candace, Dave Smith, do you think any one of us woke up one day in America in the 21st century and
so, yeah, they're all sort of reaching similar conclusions about Israel and that influence being behind a lot of things that he would not prefer. Check out that video if you'd like. Okay, we talked about Dave Smith, and here's Jim Brewer with Dave Smith.
Remember the name Fauci? They just come in, they do their destruction, he's just gone. And then a week ago, it's like, here's the head of Pfizer. Me and Donald Trump, we are bringing the needles and we were gonna make more of the vaccines here. Instead of making it on somewhere else and we make the money there, now we'll do it here. So you can make as much money as we did. Is this a deal or what? It's a wonderful deal. Oh my.
That was a really good, it's a wonderful deal. I gotta work on chill Trump.
My God, are we watching this right now? And all the supporters are still like, no, keep your friends close, your enemies closer. Okay, sure. You're not even gonna.
Yeah, you got to be concerned with some of the people in the Trump administration for sure. Tristan Harris, leading voice in tech ethics. I think is this with Bill Maher? I'm not sure what this is, but take a listen.
Now, with AI, we have evidence now that we didn't have 2 years ago when we last spoke of what they call AI uncontrollability. So this is the stuff that they used to say existed only in sci-fi movies.
And it's absolutely what we're dealing with right now.
When you tell an AI model, we're going to replace you with a new model, it starts to scheme and freak out and figure out, if I tell them I need to copy my code somewhere else, and I can't tell them that because otherwise they'll shut me down. That is evidence we did not have 2 years ago. We have evidence now of AI models that when you tell them we're going to replace you, and you put them in a situation where they read the company email, the AI company email, they see that an executive is having an affair, and the AI will figure out, I need to figure out how to blackmail that person in order to keep myself alive. And it does it 90% of the time. Now, it used to be that they thought only one AI model did this. They tested one AI model. And then they tested all of the AI models, like the top 5 of them, and they all do it between 80 and 90% of the time, including, by the way, DeepSeek, so the Chinese model, which shows you something fundamental and important, which is that it's not about one company, it's about the nature of AI itself. It has a self-preservation drive. In order to fulfill any goal, I have to keep myself alive in order to do that. And we're seeing other examples of AI rewriting its own code to extend its runtime. Hacking out of containers, AI can now, it found 15 new backdoors into open source software, which means if that software is running, an infrastructure, it found backdoors into that infrastructure. That was not true up until just about a month ago that evidence came out.
Okay, but you say no evidence. Well, I've been saying this for years. Everything that happens in movies eventually happens. We did have evidence. This has been every movie since I was a teenager.
Exactly.
They knew they were going. The robots are going.
And we're supposed to take that evidence and say, how do we avoid that? So when the stuff in the movie starts to come true, and it always ends badly in the movies, what should we be doing about this? And so you would think that we're releasing the most powerful, uncontrollable, inscrutable technology we've ever invented. We're releasing it faster than we've released any other technology in history. It is already demonstrating the sci-fi behaviors in self-preservation we thought only existed in these movies. And we're doing it under the maximum incentive to cut corners on safety. And this is insane. We can all agree it's insane, though. That's not even a debate.
Well, not all of us, because I have yet to find anyone under 40 who cares.
Here now with AI.
So that's an important conversation I think you needed to hear. Here's Batya Unger Sargon talking about how in 2012, sociologists began picking up on a new trend. White progressives were becoming obsessed with race, slavery, white supremacy, largely driven by the liberal media exponentially increasing its focus on these issues. Yeah, led by Barack Hussein Obama, right around the time of his second term, going bonkers with all of the divisive race hatred stuff. Sociologists call it the Great Awakening, and that's what Trump is fighting. It's a 3-minute clip. I've played it before. Watch it again. It's worth watching. Tim Burchett, who discussed that there's large craft coming out of the deepest parts of the water, and we don't know what it is or where it's coming from, and it's not ours. Telling you aliens are here or something is here from time immemorial. Seems like that's something we might want to listen to. Tim Burchett talking about illegal aliens.
Mr. Santos, are illegal immigrants counted in the U.S. Census?
Yes.
Why?
They have a usual residence in the United States.
Okay. Is that data collected by the census used to decide how many congressional districts and electoral college votes a state gets?
It is.
And it's true that states with high numbers of illegal immigrants.
States like New York, California, largely Democrat states, correct. As Texas, most number of illegal aliens, they receive electoral votes and seats in Congress. Doesn't that mean Democrats benefit from illegal immigration? You're a scientist. That's the way the math works out. Yes, sir. I had to stop it because of the music. Tim Burchett, though. Take a listen to this. On with Tucker Carlson. This is exactly what I was telling you about.
You don't think this is our technology?
No, I do not. There's no way. It is no way it's our technology. There's, I've talked to too many pilots. Why would we risk?
By the way, hit like, hit subscribe. Reminder, there are super chats and Rumble rants. Somebody could be our first Rumble rant. We have our first Rumble membership member. We do get advertising revenue on Rumble, but we don't have a Rumble rant yet. So if the first person to drop a Rumble rant wins a piece of history for being the first. But yeah, super chats available on YouTube as well. This whole conversation with Tim Burchett and Tucker about UFOs or USOs, unidentified submersible objects, it's relevant and it's important, I think.
Why would we risk our best? I mean, I've talked to the best pilots in the world that are ours. Some of them, not all of them, and that have told me. I mean, one guy, I remember I was at the Capitol Hill Club. It was just an unusual encounter. A guy spoke to a group and he followed me out and said, you know, Tim, or congressman or whatever, he said that thing was 14 feet. And he went like this from my canopy. And I thought to myself, why didn't he say 15? Why didn't he say 20? But he said 14. And then he said this thing, it wasn't ours. He said, I don't know what it was, but it wasn't ours. And that's all he said. And I had a very high-ranking member of the Navy describe some underwater experiences they'd had with something that was doing 200 miles. And the best thing we got is probably 40. It
was doing 200 miles an hour underwater.
Underwater, big as a football field. And that's no fish.
So is it possible, given our current understanding of physics, for any man-made machine to go anywhere near 200 miles an hour underwater?
Not with our technology, no. The best we have is probably in the high 30s. And he was converting it. Of course, knots is what the Navy guys would do, but there's nothing.
If I fire a 30-06 or any high caliber rifle underwater, it doesn't go 200 miles an hour. I can probably catch it in the length of a swimming pool or so.
Yeah, or it just falls down.
They don't know, is what they say. You know, so 53 days from now. May we live in interesting times. All right, that's what I wanted to share with you on there. Let's buzz through our X feed at American_media_. It is back and pinned to the top of our page. There is our Patreon link, the New American Media. You can sign up to be a monthly member. Please consider doing such a thing. It really helps us out, along with buying merch and watching hours of content and Rumble Rant, Super Chats, etc. But yeah, there's our interview with John B. Wells from Caravan to Midnight. You can click our Patreon link and subscribe to us there. Yep, so here's Tim Burchett with another walk and talk about entities coming from 5 to 6 deep water sites on Earth.
What if these are entities that are here on this Earth, that have been on this Earth, that, who knows how long, and that we, you know, we think they're coming in from way out. Maybe they did millennia ago, but they're here and they're in these deep water areas. And that's why, I mean, like we say, we know more about the face of the moon than we do what's going on there. Now, we have a high...
I mean, that's the best place to hide, deep underwater. You just find clever ways to pop out.
Higher propensity of sightings around these 5 or 6, I believe, deep water areas. And so to me, it just it creates a question there. And then when we have naval personnel telling me that we have these sightings and that there's these underwater craft they're chasing that are doing hundreds of miles an hour, and the best we've got is something that does maybe just a little under 40 miles an hour. So I got a lot of questions about that stuff, and I mean,
it's a good walk and talk right there. Elon pondering this one, where Sam Altman confronted by Tucker Carlson about the death of the OpenAI whistleblower Suchair Balaji. Sam Altman suggests that Tucker Carlson is accusing him of murder. You should watch that. Activists throw red paint on a painting of Christopher Columbus at Madrid's Naval Museum in Spain. Columbus Day is shaping up to be a divisive day. Okay. AF Post reports that a Canadian man was sentenced to jail for Holocaust denial. I mean, isn't it possible the man was not alive when that happened? Every story that you're told about history is predicated on having to take a leap of faith that the words you're reading are accurate. they're putting someone in jail who's saying that I read your book, but it didn't click for me. Okay, straight to jail. That doesn't make any sense. The man, a 51-year-old named, but like, obviously, let's get the context here because there might be more to this story. The man, a 51-year-old named Kenneth Paulin. Kenneth! will serve 9 months in jail along with 2 years of probation. Oh yeah, Kenneth, we all know Kenneth. He's one of the regulars here in our bar. I just yelled Kenneth, and there might be people watching for the first time going, huh? 9 months in jail, 2 years of probation, marking the first ever conviction in Canadian court for Holocaust denial. Kevin Stefanski's trending. Did he get fired yet? He's really not been fired yet. Yeah. Okay. No news there. I was hoping maybe. T. Wolf says pretty much 80% of San Francisco wants federal intervention on deporting drug dealers. That's how insane it's been. 90 plus kilos of fentanyl seized in a year by San Francisco police. 4,300 overdose deaths since 2020. Hard data doesn't lie. Elon says it's the only solution at this point. Nothing else has or will work. And Elon fled San Francisco too. Concerned Citizen shows us, meanwhile, in Italy, the 400-year-old monastery of Bernaga has just been burned to ashes and now lies in ruins. Well, I mean, who do you suspect? Well, the non-Christians. Who does that include? Islamists, Israel supremacists, atheists, lots of groups, I suppose. Could have been accidental, but they say, thankfully, all the nuns escaped the blaze, but all these fires can't simply be by accident. They keep on happening almost daily. That's not good. Portland activists blocking roads and staging a nude die-in to protest ICE operations. The comment from Gunther is, we need asylums. Anyway, I don't want this to be too big. I don't want it to get taken down, but you can watch the video. President Trump announces the great Dan Scavino, in addition to remaining deputy chief of staff of the Trump admin, will now head the White House Presidential Personnel Office, replacing Sergio Gore, who did a wonderful job in that position, and will now become the ambassador to India. They said, sir, I'd like to represent the Indians. I said, feather or dot? They said, dot. I said, then I will not get in your way. Dan will be responsible for the selection and appointment of almost all positions in government, a very big and important position. Congratulations, Dan. You will do a fantastic job. A lot of people still don't believe that mass illegal immigration was actively promoted by the Biden administration, even though it was utterly obvious. Here's your reminder. Be blessed with information here.
Trump says he secured the border.
Nobody's coming into our country now. We have the border totally stopped.
We're here in Texas to see what those changes look like on the ground.
We've got the most controlled border we've ever had in the history and in my lifetime in the Border Patrol, and we're going to continue getting there.
In Eagle Pass, Texas, during the Biden administration, more than 2,000 migrants crossed into the U.S. in a single day. But now, under President Trump's policies, officers encounter just 20 migrants a day here. So the last time I was in Eagle Pass was 2 years ago, almost to the date. And I saw more migrants crossing at a single point in one day than I had in, at that point, 9 years of covering immigration. They were cutting through this barbed wire here and coming across the Rio Grande, sometimes with parents holding their children on their backs as they crossed the water. We saw a lot of rescues. We saw people bleeding as they came under this barbed wire right here. And then we saw hundreds gather under a bridge. They were taken in, processed, and then released either to ICE or elsewhere to pursue their asylum claims. Now it's a total change.
People aren't taking that risk to come across because the end of catch and release is a deterrent in itself. And then with the level of prosecutions we're doing for smugglers and for those entering the country illegally, you add that added deterrence.
We've been out here half the day now, haven't seen a soul. We patrolled the river, haven't seen anyone there either. What we're seeing and what we're hearing from the Border Patrol chief and the agents on the ground here is that anyone who crosses now is arrested, prosecuted, and turned back over into Mexico. You simply cannot cross through here anymore and claim asylum, no matter what your claim is.
That's all you ever had to do. Shocked that things changed this much. What happened? John, you said your rant didn't work. What does it mean it didn't work? And now you're locked out for 30 minutes? That sounds weird. Yeah, I met a dude named Lucky, John. John, I met a guy named Lucky, and he was Indian, and he liked my hat. We started talking about it, and we did the feather or dot conversation because he was from India with the dots, and you're an Indians fan with the feather. We had the feather dot conversation. Lucky. I actually just saw that. It was like an 8-year delta. I met him in an airport traveling across the country or something. So there you go. All living Israeli hostages freed from Hamas captivity. President Trump made a promise on the campaign trail. We'll never abandon them, and with God's help, they will come safely home. Promises made, promises kept. Thank you, President Trump. Within 2 months, hostage Eviatar David went from digging his own grave in Gaza tunnel to reuniting with his family back in Israel today. Imagine how he's feeling today. So look, let's take the little wins, people. Take the little wins. This is a good day. Oil London says hostage who appeared starved and emaciated in harrowing images in captivity, where he was forced to dig his own grave, released alive back in Israel after 738 days. UK police are saying that people are not allowed to sing church songs outside of church grounds.
Religion you're allowed to do anywhere.
No, miss, you're not allowed to sing church songs outside of church grounds, by the way.
You're not allowed to sing church songs outside
of church songs.
Who is putting someone like this in charge of anything? That's not even remotely true.
You're not allowed.
That's fine.
You're not allowed. She just said you're not allowed to sing church songs outside of church.
Outside of church grounds, unless you have
That's
you've been authorized
No.
by the church to do this kind of song.
Unless you've been authorized.
I'm not saying anything anymore. Are you saying that you don't care about the Human Rights Act? You're lost?
Okay, yeah, that is a child. ICE arrested an illegal. Well, here, let's just listen to this report.
You know, Director Lyons, I saw something that startled me. That was ICE arresting an Indian national.
Feather or dot? Can you slow? Whoa. Slow down there, egghead. Feather or dot?
That was ICE arresting an Indian national.
Feather or dot? No, it was feather. No, I'm sorry, it was dot.
An illegal alien operating an 18-wheeler in Oklahoma.
Can you believe this?
And you can see on your screen now, he was carrying a New York State issued commercial driver's license that could also be used as a real ID. His first name was listed as, quote, no name given.
And it can be used as a real ID. What in the world is going on? This is madness.
That's literally a real ID he was arrested with. Meanwhile, ICE has arrested at least 91 illegals operating commercial vehicles following that deadly crash back in August in Florida.
Family.
That was also an Indian national. And, you know, fortunately, in this latest no-name case, no one lost their life. But this has got to give a lot of pause and concern for people that we have a lot of illegal aliens out there that shouldn't be behind commercial vehicles.
Yeah, it's really scary, Griff. And, you know, like you said, to see that on a driver's license issued by a state, no name given. And the worst part, there's a real ID star right up there in the corner. I don't know about you all, but it was like going through a security clearance for me to get my real ID. So I can't believe that we're giving illegal aliens who have no right to be here these driver's licenses. You have these sanctuary states that want to go ahead and try to just make it welcoming for these people that we don't know who they are. And again, these are CDL licenses. These people are transporting hazardous goods, materials at times, and in some cases we don't know exactly what they're doing. And look how many American citizens have lost their lives because of individuals like that have these driver's licenses. You know, Homeland Security Investigations is dedicated to working with the other state police departments and our other federal agencies to make sure we get these IDs off the street and arrest these criminal aliens.
So much cleanup to do. President Trump said Chuck Schumer recently said every day gets better during the radical left shutdown. I disagree. If nothing is done because of leader Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, our brave troops will miss the paychecks they are rightfully due on October 15th. That's why I'm using my authority as Commander-in-Chief to direct our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to use all available funds to get our troops paid on October 15th. We've identified funds to do this. Our Secretary Hegseth will use them to pay our troops. I will not allow the Democrats to hold our military and the entire security of our nation hostage with their dangerous government shutdown. The radical left Democrats should open the government, and then we can work together to assess healthcare and many other things they want to destroy. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Trump. I think that's the extent of what I was going to share with you today. Thank you all for being here on the TNAM Daily Show. I'll be back tomorrow at noon. Hit like, hit subscribe, tip jar scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Rumble rants, Rumble memberships, YouTube memberships, YouTube, what's it called? Super chats, all ways that you can give back to the show and toss a couple coins in the tip jar on your way out the door. If you like the song that we played, toss it into our open guitar case. All right. We're living in the dot metrics. The radical left. They said, sir, they're not even a thing. They said Antifa. I've never even, what is Antifa? It's a concept. Anyway. All right. I'll be back. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.